Good morning. I kind of missed yesterday a little bit, and it was just kind of a crazy day. I'm sorry about that. But welcome to Bible and Blues. This is the channel where you come to for a little bit of Christian-based commentary, maybe a little bit of thoughts on this battle that's going on in the world and has been for thousands of years between atheism and theism. And we do a Bible reading on it. And I want to say on the way into work, and I'm sitting in my parking lot here at work. And I love Ravi Zacharias, and I was watching a video of his, and over time you're watching enough of these, and you kind of realize that they have an argument, and they've been using this argument for a long time, and it's good arguments. And I've done the same with Frank Turk, but they kind of get repetitive because the argument doesn't change, okay, and their responses to the argument doesn't change because they fine-tuned them over years. So what you hear is the same things over and over again, which is good. And that means you can learn it for yourself, because I'll tell you right now, 90% of the people out there who are spouting atheist tripe have not heard these arguments because they're never digging into it, and they're never being, there's no pushback. So this morning I was on my way in, and I have tons of time. Good. This morning I was on my way in, and I ran across this one. I like to listen to these things as I'm driving, and it was a Christian put it up, and this atheist talk host, radio show or YouTube talk host. I don't know. This is from 2010, so it was before live streaming. Supposedly it was live, and it kind of sounds like it. Had on this historian, Bart Ehrman, I think Ehronrmon. I'm not sure, but anyway, this historian who is not a Christian, is not a believer, but he's a historian, and so the atheist host was trying to get this guy to say that there wasn't proof that Jesus even existed, and the historian is like, sitting there going, listen, I'm not a believer, but historically, there is good evidence that he existed, and and the atheist kept trying to come back with, well, what kind of evidence do you have? Well, we have writings. Well, whose writings do you have? Well, we have the letters of Paul, for starters, and those are considered very historically accurate, and nobody doubts that Paul wrote Galatians. Nobody doubts that he wrote that. And among the things that you see in there is offhand comments about the family of Jesus and the brother of Jesus, James, and things like that. And which is one of the things that historians look for to prove authenticity of something that wasn't contrived in ancient writings. So, because if you were there, and this is just a letter to the Galatians, you're going to have some of these comments in there, to a certain extent. So he did, and that's one of the things. And the atheist just couldn't get over the fact that, he kept on trying to say, well, a scribe did it. Well, and it's like, what, a scribe? Most people who wrote the epistles at that time used scribes and didn't, they only the poor writers, really poor writers didn't have scribes writing their stuff out for them. So that's no argument. You don't have proof of this. So here's one of the places of our proof. They didn't even get into Josephus. Okay, so that was kind of one of the things that, and one of the other things that happened to me, and this is last night, and this is Facebook theology, okay, and Facebook theology. It's just the only thing worse. Okay, it's debatable. They're kind of on an even keel. Facebook theology and Facebook politics, okay, and both of them are just, they're mental masturbation. Please pardon the language. It's the only way I can think of it. Because their point is not to is just to incite. Their point is not to actually come to a resolution of any kind, and when people are confronted with their stupid posts, they just really can't handle it too well because they weren't prepared for it. In this case, I actually got put in my place just a little bit by another believer. So what happened was they and I'm going to read this to you because it was my my boss posted, my immediate supervisor at work. He posted these two verses out of Exodus 20. Was it Exodus 20? Oh, come on. Social responsibility. There we go. Exodus 21, 22, 21. Exodus 22. Social responsibility, laws of justice and mercy. Gosh, I'm going to have to look at... Don't tell me I'm going to have to look it up. So it has to do with social. And it was... It's actually kind of bothers me a little bit. But the basic concept of it talks about actually slavery, and if you these two verses were if you beat your slave and he dies, then you're responsible. If you beat your slave and a day or two later is able to get up and walk, you are not held responsible and there's no punishment. And that sounds horrible, except for the fact that and the concept is because you are being held responsible for his health care, for his and you are actually held accountable because of your losses because of this. Because right above it talks about if you just do it in general, if a person dies, you're going to be held responsible, and if a person lives, you are going to be responsible for paying their health bills and lost wages. If you do that, if you hurt somebody, and the concept is if they live, you're going to be paying their health bills anyway, and their wages are yours, so you're going to lose out on those wages. So, so that's the concept behind it. And I hope you followed that a little bit there, because I should have tried to find that one before I started talking, but it can't hit me. I should talk about it. But so I thought that was interesting, just because the whole concept of taking two verses out of context without the whole thing, and thankfully, and I couldn't find it. I was looking for that passage and it didn't show up, and I was doing searches for it. It wasn't popping up, and another believer found it and says, and thankfully we have Jesus to free us from these things. Well, if you take the whole thing in context. Okay, yes, but if you put the context back in, if you put the rest of it back in, it makes much more sense. This is a book talking about a people at a time when slaves were common, okay, and it talks about the treatment of your slaves, and it did so, and things like that, and talks about your servants, and talks about your this and your that. And by the way, the NIV was the only translation that used the word slaves. I don't know why. When the King James Version used the word servants, and didn't use the word slave. It's only in the NIV, and so out of all the translations, and that's one of the reasons why I was having trouble finding it. So it was just kind of strange because I read the NIV. So, what do you do? That was the whole concept of Facebook theology and Facebook politics. Both of them, they go hand in hand in stupidity. Most atheists who post these kind of things, they're just kind of preaching to their own choir. They get the people that rally around them and yeah, we hate those Christians, and and everything. It's like, so what? And if you want to get into the debate about it, a lot of times they become very condescending and very aggressive, and calling you names and things like that. So this particular person doesn't do that, but he's, like I said, he's my supervisor. We do have to have a working relationship, so I do have to be somewhat gentle with him too. So beyond that, anyway, good morning, happy Friday, yay! Have my coffee, get your coffee going. So sometimes I do miss my morning readings in front of the computer at 5:30. Other times I really appreciate getting more sleep. So today we're doing Psalm 134. Okay, it's another short one. And but it's another song of ascents, and it actually is among the song of ascents. It's the last one, and so let's dig into this one. And you picture yourself, you're climbing that mountain, you're reaching the pinnacle of your pilgrimage, the exact where you needed to be at, and you get there, and you start singing, "Praise the Lord, all you servants of the Lord, who minister by night in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and praise the Lord. May the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, bless you from Zion." Here is reading of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Praise the Lord, all you servants of the Lord, who minister by night in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and praise the Lord. May the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, bless you from Zion. So this is the culmination of a journey that might have been months, in the process, because travel was not easy at this time, and so I join in this and join in and feel that. What have you worked for? We have it so easy today, and comparatively. What have you worked towards for months and hit that pinnacle? Maybe it was a college degree or something along those lines. Maybe it's a work thing and things like that. This, they definitely went through more than we would for, college isn't easy. Climbing the corporate ladder isn't easy. But, these kind of travels, these pilgrimages were incredibly difficult and challenging, and if you survived kind of things, because of bandits, because of injuries, and sickness, all the possible things that could happen in an age when there was a lot of lawlessness outside of the cities, and there was bandits and dysentery you could die from. You could dehydrate without even knowing it, and you made this journey consciously. And the smallest misstep, you could have died out of this thing. And Lord saw you through this pilgrimage, and you grew from it, and you learned from it. So lift up your hands in the sanctuary and praise the Lord. So thank you very much for this little journey in the Psalm of Ascents. We're going to continue on in Psalms, and as we go along, and it's a little noisy next door. They work on big equipment, big excavators, things like that, and so they're a little noisy over there. Thankfully they do it. Because of what they do, we can build things, right? And we can have buildings and houses, places, and all the wonderful niceties that come with that. So anyway, thank you so much. You have a great day, and I will talk to you later. God bless.